Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSC in English. I am Sandeep Bhushan. I have 8 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations, internal security, and analysis of Hindu editorials and articles. First, we will get into the tips to crack prelims in 90 days. But prior to that, there is a notification about Let's Crack UPSC CSC. And for that, you need to go ahead with the subscription, which you have an unlimited access live and recorded courses from India's best educators from Unacademy. Along with that, you would get daily live classes. You can chat with your educator, engage in discussions, ask doubts and answers polls. You also have live tests and quizzes. You can evaluate your preparation with our regular mock test and quizzes and get detailed analysis on your performance. Along with that, you have structured courses. All the courses are structured in tune with the UPSC exam syllabus, which would help you best prepare for the exam. You also have unlimited access, and by subscribing you will have access to all our live and recorded courses, wherein you can watch at comfort from any device. It could be laptop or it could be from your mobile. And you have the top educators at Unacademy Subscription: Sudarshan Gurjar, Ayush Sanghi, Prakash Kumar, Runal Patel. Along with the top educators, you have special classes by Roman Saini sir, Dr. Siddharth Arora, Lokendra Chauhan, Rakesh Verma, and Ashish Malik. And you also have the upcoming courses which are lined up in our platform. Those are capsule courses on UPSC Prelims multiple choice questions. You have comprehensive course on public administration. You have capsule course on geography optional, and also Let's Crack UPSC CSE 2021. In regards to the subscription, you have 12-month subscription, which is the actual price is 40,000, and 24 months with the actual price is 52,000. And generally it is believed that the UPSC preparation has to be minimum for 12 months to 24 months, that is 1 year to 2 years. So it is always recommended for the learners to subscribe for 12 months or 24 months. It's better to subscribe for 24 months because the 12 months price is 36,000 and the 24 months is for 46,800 with the discount. That is, you would get the discounts of 10% if you can use my code, that is SBT10. You can use this code SBT10 and then you would get an additional discount of 10%. Now we would get into the in-depth analysis of editorials and articles of the Indian newspaper today's. And today we have in regards to the oils route, So here in regards to the editorial which talks about the oil route, wherein there was lot of sharp fall in the oil prices. So we would try to understand what were the reasons for the fall of the oil prices worldwide and what would be the impact on the world economy and also onto the India. So first we would look at the information, that is, it has happened on March 9, 2020, that is yesterday. The oil prices have crashed from 65 barrel to 31 barrel dollar. But we would also look at the prior information, that what exactly is there happening since 2017. So in 2017 you have, along with the OPEC countries, you have a 3-year supply pact. So there is a supply pact in the year 2017, wherein according to that for 3 years you can go ahead with the supply. So that would be decided by the OPEC countries. So that was about to end by this March 2020. So before this there was an discussion which has taken place, or there was a kind of deeper oil cuts internationally which has taken place because of the outbreak of corona. So outbreak of coronavirus, we have seen that there was decline in the oil prices. So when there was decline in the oil prices because of the coronavirus, there was another issue which has popped up, that is the Saudi Arabia and the Russia have come together saying that because of the outbreak of the coronavirus, the OPEC countries wanted to cut short the oil output. But Saudi Arabia and Russia have reluctantly said that we will not go ahead with any oil cuts, but rather they said that they would go ahead with more of output. Because of this, there was a decline from 65 barrel to 31 barrel, that is 65 barrel, which was just the December 2019 price, and $31 per barrel, which was on March 9, 2021. And this is the biggest slash which has taken place since January 17, 1991. That is when the Gulf War has taken place between US and the Gulf countries. Then this has taken place. And instead, the Russia and Saudi Arabia have gone ahead with production. They are saying that they will go ahead with production. Because of the statement by Russia and Saudi Arabia, there was a panic throughout the energy security. And because of this panic in the energy security, there was global markets which have fallen down quickly with oil at a time when demand has already weakened substantially. And this has weakened substantially because of the outbreak of coronavirus and because of the 3-year supply pact which is to be ended by March 2020, and because of the Saudi Arabia and Russia saying that we will not cut the oil cuts, but they would ramp up production. Because of that, the prices have fallen down very drastically. And because of this, the OPEC has responded saying that it has nothing to do, but it has removed all the limits on its own production, fearing that there would be a supply hike in the market, and in turn there would be slash in the crude oil prices. And Saudi Arabia and Russia are together very stern in regards to the output of the production. And Saudi Arabia says that they will go ahead with the crude oil output by about 10 million barrels per day. And Russia is saying that we will go ahead with output. That means we will not go ahead with any implementation or restrictions on the lift of output. Then still they wanted to go ahead with production, and they are ready that they can cope up with the low prices for the another 6 to 10 years. Now the point what we have to focus here is, why is Saudi Arabia and Russia very particular about not trying to abide by the OPEC countries' decision that they will go ahead with the cut in production, but rather they are saying that they will go ahead with the production. We'll just look at it. And now Saudi Arabia and Russia, they have actually experienced, or else we have experienced the same kind of slash in the crude oil prices globally in the year 2014. And this was in the year 2014 when Saudi Arabia and Russia was asking the United States that we will go ahead with cutting the production output, but then there was no answer from the United States, or United States did not listen or support Saudi Arabia and Russia then, and then they wanted to, and then United States have gone ahead with more of production. So why there was slash in oil prices, and at that time why did the United States go ahead with production? Because United States has shale production, shale reserves production, shale oil producers. So they have gone ahead, and then they have gone ahead with increase in output of the production of oil prices in 2014, because in 2014 there was the ISIS which was prevailing in Iraq and Syria, and ISIS which has taken over the entire Iraq and Syria, most parts of the Iraq and Syria, and many of the cities which were under the control of under the control of ISIS of Iraq and Syria had many oil reserves, and all these oil reserves were under the control. So when they were under the control of the ISIS, they were becoming rich by selling the oil. So to make sure that they would not be rich, or there has to be some kind of cut in their amount, because they were the richest, the people, that is in regards to the terrorist organization at that time, United States said that no. But now the issue is now the Saudi Arabia and Russia are saying that we will not go with the cut in production and we can maintain it for another, Russia is saying that for another 6 to 10 years. Now we would look at what are the challenges which the global all the countries would face, because as China is a major importer and it has cut the imports by a third, one third from Saudi Arabia, as Saudi Arabia is its biggest supplier. So the possibility of market being flooded with excess production, because China is the biggest acceptor or importer, and thereby what will happen is, because of this there would be some sort of cut in imports by the China from the Saudi Arabia, thereby there would be excess production from Saudi Arabia and Russia, which will lead to supply shock. That means you will have more of production, and then a collapse of US shale oil producers. Because of the excess of production, the oil producer, that is the US shale oil producers might also get disturbed, and this may set off defaults in the bond markets. Because of the prices slashing and the production increasing, there could be defaults in the bond markets, and these defaults in the bond markets will spiral starting with the US markets. So once the US markets are at the receiving end, so that will impact the entire world, that is the entire global economy. And the other challenge is for India. The mercantile exports are likely to suffer. Why? Because the mercantile exports will suffer due to the freeze in the developed economies. As we are saying, the import of oil is reducing. The trade is not that conducive because of the coronavirus, and there is possibility that there would be freeze in the developed countries, and that would impact the merchandise exports of India. And there could be a flip side for India too from the oil price slump. The negative one is because we have inward remittances. We have lot of remittances from West Asia, and when we have these remittances from West Asia, and because of the crude oil prices sharply decreasing, there could be a possibility that it would impact the Indian economy, or there could be a hit on the Indian economy, and wherein the economies which are dependent on India. And then the oil prices may also impact a decision taken by the central government. That is, the decision taken by the central government is in regards to the disinvestment program. So center has taken up the disinvestment program of Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, that is selling of BPCL, because it has gone ahead with disinvestment program, and because of the slash in the oil prices, there could be that we may not get expected bidders to come and buy the BPCL, and if they are coming forward to go ahead with buying of BPCL, this investment process, then we can expect much lower than expected company's valuation. That means the company's valuation BPCL might drop, and thereby the companies which are actually in line with coming forward to buy BPCL, the disinvestment program of the center would take a hit. So that is one of the challenge. And the other one is, we have seen that during 2014 and 2016 also we have seen this kind of the major oil prices, that is in regards to the prices, crude oil prices slashing. Then what has happened is, the center, that is in 2014 in regards to the ISIS crisis, and also in the 2016 there was cut in oil prices. When there was cut in oil prices, the center along with the states, they haven't given the savings to the states, but instead they have hiked the excise duty and the value added tax, that is excise duty and the VAT on petrol and diesel was hiked by the center and states. Thereby what has happened is, they have increased the revenue for the government, central government and the state government, but it was not given a cushion to the end customer. And then what measures we can take, because we have seen what is actually has happened, the reasons for the fall in the crude oil prices, and what could be the challenges globally and for the India also. And now we would look at the measures which can be taken. So as we have seen that the center has not really passed on the benefits or the prices which have been slashed to the end user. Now it is time that it gives some kind of, what you say, benefit to the end users, because this will create a window of opportunity for the economy. Because when you are giving money, that is when the end user is having extra money with him or in his pocket, so that extra money which is in his or her pocket can be used as consumption. So they can use it for some extra expenditure which can be in turn as the consumption. So this is the much needed consumption which can boost the Indian economy. So thereby the measure is that the center and the states has to pass on the benefits of the cut in slash of the oil prices to a group of 14 countries, that is oil exporting nations. Initially by 5 countries, as I've said: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. And later on in the year 2019, 11 other member countries have joined them. And then Qatar was terminated on Jan 1st, 2019. That means it was moved out, and Indonesia was suspended its membership on November 30, 2016. So as of 2019, the organization consists of, that is OPEC consists of 14 states. Initially 5 with 11, that is 11 plus 5, 16. Then later on Qatar and Indonesia is out, and now you have 14 states. So this can be for the prelims point of view. So make sure that you had a wide understanding about the information about the challenges, measures and advantages in regards to the mains point of view, and then for prelims point of view about the OPEC, which can also pop up. Now next one. The next one is in regards to the cost of a S Bank to Bank Rescue Act. So what is this all about? As we all know that we have seen that S Bank is totally into bankruptcy, and there was a need for the RBI and the central government to intervene and make sure that they have protected the interest of the deposits of the customers, of the depositors, and then they have bailed out. They are in the process of bailing out the S Bank. So we will look at the various information or various steps what exactly has happened to the S Bank. The information is the S Bank is the fourth largest private sector bank, and it was launched in the year 2004, and its founded and now the former managing director of S Bank was Rana Kapoor. So what has happened? Why the situation has come so that since 2014 now to 2020 there was a meteoric rise and fall of the S Bank, but now it has gone into totally into devastating situation that the central government and the RBI has to come to the rescue. So what has happened is they have made sure that the co-founder or the former co-founder of S Bank, that is Rana Kapoor, has made payments by quid pro quo to family controlled shell companies. So he has transferred payments to these family controlled shell companies in return for large loans to entities like DHFL. So he has gone ahead with making the payments to family controlled shell companies in return for large loans to entities such as DHFL. So we have seen earlier, that is last year, we have seen the DHFL has also been totally into financial crisis. So we have seen LIC coming to the rescue of it. So we know that already it is a stressed one. So this has taken place, and in turn the S Bank has gone into the total financial crisis. And there are also reports that there is a government failure. Yes, no doubt this has taken place, that is the payments have been diverted in return for large loans, but along with that there is a point that there is a government failures. Not only that, there is also an irregularities which has taken place in regards to the accounting. So irregularities in regards to the accounting and balance sheet weaknesses. So there was accounting was irregular and balance sheets were weak at S Bank for more than 2 years. So when there was the balance sheets and accounts and balance sheets were weak for 2 years, what was the government doing? So thereby there is a failure from government's point of view as per the report. It is because of the delay, because of this delay, we have seen the unavoidable situation of the entire financial crisis of S Bank. And according to the report, there is what you say heavily indebted corporate groups. So we have seen the bank's exposure to bankrupt, such as DHFL, that is Diwan Housing Finance Corporation, Reliance Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, that is ADAG, and Infrastructure Leasing and Financial Service Limited, that is IL&FS and SL, and also in regards to the recent Vodafone. So we have seen all these companies, that is financial corporations, have gone ahead with bankrupt, and this in turn, when it is going ahead and along with the balance sheet weakness in the S Bank, we have seen that the government's not taking prompt measures to cross check what was happening in the S Bank. And in a bid to control the damage, now what has happened, or to make sure that there is a public confidence, the Central and Reserve Bank of India have come together to bail out the S Bank. So there was a quick response to bail out the S Bank. So there was a moratorium. So the center has imposed a 30 days moratorium on all the payouts of its depositors. That means the entire control of the S Bank was taken by the center, and the control is that the depositors or the creditors, they cannot go ahead with excess of 50,000 rupees withdrawals. And this moratorium was imposed by the center by the Banking Regulation Act, and within the Banking Regulation Act they have invoked section 45. So by invoking section 45 of the Banking Regulation Act, the S Bank is totally under the control of the center, that is a 30-day moratorium. So in the case of S Bank, we have not only S Bank, in regards to the banking system, we have various laws and regulations. We have Companies Act, we have Securities Exchange Board of India, we have various compliances requirements which is seen by the Reserve Bank of India. That is, we have a strict guidelines in place, but instead we have seen all these which are in place, strict guidelines, have failed, and then there was a reason that S Bank was under the entire bankruptcy, and this center has to come to bailout. And then the center has invoked or intervened by invoking section 55, as we have discussed here, making sure that it takes the total control. And later on, what it has done is, the RBI, it has gone ahead with, or it has drafted a reconstruction scheme. What is that? That is S Bank Limited Reconstruction Scheme 2020. So it wanted to make sure that it bails out to the S Bank, and it would make sure that the S Bank, in whatever situation, bankruptcy stage it would pull out of it and make sure that it is again healthy. So by this, it has made sure that SBI would come forward and then act as an investor, and then make sure that it would at least initially invest rupees 2,450 crore in the S Bank, that is by acquiring a 49% stake in the S Bank. So to acquire 49% stake, they have to initially go ahead with rupees 2,450 crores to pump into the S Bank, and that can happen by paying a premium of at least rupees 8 on share with a face value of 2. So when they can pay at least a premium of rupees 8 on every share with a face value of 2, then they can go ahead with allocating or pooling in 2,450 crores to attain or to acquire 49% stake in S Bank. But the other reports also says that S Bank is not or would not be sufficient or wouldn't suffice with 2,450 crores of rupees, but it requires 20,000 crore, and for that it has to go ahead with pulling in 9,800 crore for at least 49% stake in S Bank. So for that, as we were discussing, or we have said that rupees 8 premium for face value of 2 has to be done, but now as it really requires 20,000, so it has to go ahead with valuation of a premium of rupees 10 per share, and then only it can go ahead with pulling in of rupees 9,800 crores, which can acquire 49% stake in RBI. So RBI has also gone ahead with restructuring plan, as we are talking about here, S Bank Limited Reconstruction Scheme 2020. So when we are talking about the restructuring plan, they have come up with the three principles. So what is that? The first one is the central government is not expected to directly invest in S Bank. So the central bank or the government is not ready, or it doesn't want it to go ahead with directly invest in S Bank, and this is part of the restructuring plan of the RBI. Thereby, it is wanting the anchor investor, that is the SBI, to go ahead with 49% stake, initially with 2,450 crores and later on with 9,800 crores to pump into S Bank, and then it can take 49% stake. So that is the first and foremost principle. And the next is S Bank is not to be merged with the SBI, because there are many rumors that probably the S Bank would also be merged with the SBI, as the we have seen the SBI they has been taken over few state SBIs. So the restructuring plan of SBI is very clear, and the second principle is that it doesn't want it to merge with the SBI. And the third one is the investor other than SBI, if it is coming forward, must play an important role in the revival of S Bank. So it is wanting, if not SBI, it wanted SBI and also other investors also to help the SBI to make sure that it goes ahead with pumping the 49% of the entire 20,000 crores which is expected, that is 9,800 crores. So along with the SBI, it wanted the other investors to help or to play an important role in the revival of S Bank. So we would just look at the other two, that is the government is not expected to directly invest in S Bank, that is the first principle, and the second one is S Bank is not to be merged with the SBI, and the third one is it wanted other investors that to play an important role along with the SBI for the revival of the S Bank. And there is an additional another one wherein RBI has also announced additional tier 1 bonds, that is 81 bonds issued by S Bank, which these bonds which were issued by S Bank has around 11,000 crores of rupees, that is its value. So it wanted to make sure that it shall, that is it stand written down permanently in full with effect from the appointed date. That means it wanted to make sure that it is written down, that is it is written off down permanently. There is one point here that we will look at what is 81 bonds, that is additional tier 1 bonds. It is the bonds which offer investors a higher return. So these are the bonds which wherein the investors will purchase because it issues higher return. When there are higher returns, yes, there are also higher risk associated with it. So 81, that is additional tier 1 bonds, or the one which have higher returns associated with higher risk, and then including the possibility of written down, that is writing off when a bank's equity base is under threat. So now it is very clear that everyone or the investors who have gone ahead with purchase of additional tier 1 bonds which is totaling a value of 11,000 crores, will also be with the S Bank or can be used by the S Bank now, because it can be written by the RBI whenever the bank's equity base is under threat. So this, along with the three principles, it is also announcing 81 bonds. So what are the challenges now? Because SBI is coming forward to make sure that it bails out the 49% or it takes a stake of 49% in the S Bank. The SBI role is not limited, because we are not just trying to say that it will infuse the capital and then the job is done. No, it would also make sure that it will infuse the capital into the damaged bank. Why? Because it is bankrupt, which the S Bank is bankrupt. So as it is a damaged bank, and it also involves building, not only making sure that it infuses capital, but the other challenge is it should make sure that it will involve building investors' confidence. So not only infusing capital, it should also build investors' confidence in the future of the bank through its dominant presence. So just by infusing, it doesn't work out. What really adds to the infusing of capital is you should also build the investors' confidence. But we have seen the other side of it. That is the challenge with the SBI would face. That is, as we were talking about the 81 bonds, which now it says that the bank's equity base, whenever it is under threat, it can be written down. But now the threat is that the investors might approach the court. So it is a challenge even now for the SBI when it takes 49% stake in the S Bank. So first is not only infusing, building investors' confidence, and then it should also make sure that it should also look at when or face the consequences when the investors approach the courts, and this might hamper the restructuring process. What is that? The RBI's restructuring plan. The government, and then the other challenges is the government has been promoting a strategy in which growth is driven by credit splurge and large loans to shaky corporates. So we have seen that the challenge to the government is that it is wanting the banks to lend more money or to give loans to the personal investors or to the businessmen. Thereby what will happen is there would be more money with the people or within the market, but it wanted to make sure that this drive or investment process is not really important or not really a kind of positiveness, but it is a challenge to the government, because the credit splurge or the drive to investment might be a challenge to the government. And this would also create a kind of challenge, that is it will also provide, that is pumping more money, that is asking the banks, scheduled banks, to give more loans to the people and to the businessmen or business groups, that the money would be more of circulation with the market or with the everyone. So this more of pumping money or giving more loans would provide fertile ground. So this would provide fertile ground for rogue bankers, that is, and to offenders borrowers. That means whoever is borrowing, this would create and this would result in non-performing asset. So the challenges are there. We have seen these restructuring plan. Why are the reasons why it has S Bank has gone into entire bankruptcy, restructuring plan, and the challenges, and what lessons have to be learned. Now we look at the lessons. So regulators, the government should not punish the company for the sins of its promoters. So whoever has taken loans, it has to make sure that the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act should be implemented in true spirit, and then the money has to be brought back to the banks, and the regulators should not punish the company or the banks. So it should make sure that it should be made to save companies jobs as it is being attempted with S Bank. So there has to be rescue plans, not just banks, because they are politically sensitive. We have seen that even the western countries or western part of the world has also experienced the bankruptcy. But we have also seen that the Tesla chairman, that is Elon Musk, was also recently punished and asked to step down by the US Securities and Exchange Commission and penalized for issues relating to insider trading. So, the insider trading, the point or the kind of the ill effects which has taken Elon Musk has been punished. Even not only Elon Musk, even Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg has been taken for ride and they were investigated and heavily fined. So, looking at these things for the Elon Musk and the Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg's experience, India should learn from this, and then they have to improve the regulatory checks and balances. And we have to make sure that these kind of animal spirits of entrepreneurs has to be restricted. If we are not restricting that, then there would be a the kind of situations what we have seen in the past and now with the S Bank might continue. And for this, I would conclude this editorial or the article saying that it is the need of the hour to bring about the needed reforms. So the conclusion is, it is the need of the hour to bring about the needed reforms to strengthen the autonomy of various regulatory institutions. So apart from that, we have another article about the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So here we have seen that in the article, the author or the writer is talking about the health scheme sans cloud. That means whether we have the required space or we have the kind of mechanism in place wherein the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is an universal healthcare and which has pumped lot or else maximum n number of crores into the system, and do we have the appropriate mechanism to cross check or limit the expenditure? Sorry, that is what the author is talking about. So prior to getting into the article, we would just look at the facts about the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, because of this article which has come up on the sidelines of the coronavirus, that is the medical exigence which is been experiencing in India and the worldwide, and then in India in regards to that, how India is equipped in regards to implementing it, and then making sure that what are the measures in place to make sure that we hold the expenditure in tune, or we make sure that everyone is being benefited. So for that we will look at this. It was initiated by our Prime Minister on 23rd September 2018 at Ranchi, Jharkhand. This could be for prelims point of view on the sidelines of the medical exigency, because the government is with the ABPM GAY, that is the universal healthcare. We have to focus on this for prelims point of view. And the government has taken this healthcare protection as an aspirational level, and it is the world's largest government funded healthcare program, and then it targets more than 50 crore beneficiaries, and this scheme will provide a cover of 5 lakhs per family per year. So there is lot of money involved in it. So when there is lot of money involved in it, that is for the secondary and tertiary care hospitalization, there would be a cover of 5 lakhs per family. And over we have seen 10.74 crore vulnerable entitled families will be eligible for this benefits, that is by this scheme, and will provide cashless and paperless access to service the beneficiary at the point of service. So this will make sure that there would not be any kind of corruption. There is maximum transparency in it, making sure that the 10.74 crore vulnerable entitled families will have a cover of up to 5 lakhs per family per year, and it is a world's largest government funded healthcare program. For prelims point of view, you have to have this basic information. and it is also an universal healthcare program. So, as it is an universal healthcare program, we have to make sure that it is having the containing of the cost. That is, it has to make sure that we have to contain the cost because there is a lot of money involved in it, and then we have to improve the care quality of entire health program, and then we have to make sure that we are bridging existing gaps. So whatever gaps are there in the service in the entire universal healthcare, we have to bridge it. So to this, making sure that these three areas have to be taken care or has to be looked at. The article talks about these three areas. So there is a report which talks about the 15th Finance Commission report, which says that the scheme, universal health scheme, has taken the levels of hospitalization rates and expenditures would cover up to 28,000 crore and 75,000 crore. That is, for the levels of hospitalization rates 28,000 crores and for the expenditure 74,000 crore by the projection in the year 2019 up to 2023. So that means it would go up to maximum, that is 74,000 crores. So there is a lot of money involved in this government funded universal healthcare. So we have to make sure that how we contain the cost. So the unremitting sluggishness of India's public health spending. So we do not have a proper mechanism in regards to the India's public health spending, and this scheme has lot of expenditure has to be dealt with it. So we have to make sure that there are innovative solutions. We have to come up with the innovative solutions to contain the cost of 74,000 crores. Not only that, we have to make sure that huge commitments cannot be met. We have to make sure that whatever the excess process that in regards to the expenditure which is growing should be handled by the innovative solutions. So for this, the National Health Authority, implementing body of the scheme, universal health scheme, that is implemented by the National Health Authority, and this authority has set up innovation unit which looks into the cost effective technologies to promote indigenous cost effective technologies. This also can be taken into for prelims point of view. This point, the National Health Authority, which is an implementing body of the scheme, which looks into or which has set up an innovation unit to promote indigenous cost effective technologies. And the challenges for the National Health Authority are because we have not having a streamlined incentives or the substantial incentives for providers. So we are not having, that means there is absence of substantial and streamlined incentives for providers, and then adoption of innovation machines in the private and the public hospitals are largely erratic, piecemeal and incomplete. So the first and foremost challenge is there is absence of substantial and streamlined incentives, and the adoption of innovations of the machines are erratic, piecemeal and incomplete. So this is the biggest challenge for the National Health Authority, that is the implementing body of the scheme. And then the other one is making sure that despite having a apparently formidable beneficiary base, so the scheme has a solid formidable beneficiary base, but still it has a small share in the overall scenario of inpatient care provisions. So this is also a challenge. So what is a challenge? The second one is it has a small share in the inpatient care provision. So why this? Because this is due to low empanelment of hospitals. So because of the low empanelment of hospitals, there is very small share in the overall inpatient care provision. And then we have the other challenge is the perennially, that is continuous, sluggish and ineffectual healthcare regulatory. So this ineffective and sluggish healthcare regulatory framework which is in India is likely to pose another threat or impediment for the implementation of the healthcare. So we have the challenges. So for the challenges, what are the measures? As per the article, is we need to have a dialogue or the discourse on innovations, because this is the innovation solutions which is being taken up by the implementing body. So we have to have a regular dialogue, like telemedicine and drone technology has to be made sure that there is always a dialogue in this, and there has to be other simplified and fundamental, but it has to be operational process and business model. That means the dialogues have to be simplified and fundamental, but it should have impactful on the operational process and business model. And then the other measure or the suggestions for the challenges which the implementing body faces is we need to have a standardization of hospital procedures. Yes, we do have it, but still there has to be the complete process of standardizing of hospital across the nation, across all the states, across all the villages. And we should make sure that the measure is we should have the reducing cost through robust procurement process. That is the procurement system for supplies. There has to be the cost has to be reduced, because whatever the equipment, innovative equipment, technology have to be used for the implementation, successful implementation of the program, healthcare program, we have to make sure that the cost of the innovative technology program or the system has to be, the cost has to be reduced. That means cost minimizing has to be done, and then we have to use the generic medicine. And along with this, there has to be a work profile alteration of existing human resource. And the other measure is there has to be a reimbursement mode for healthcare providers. So whoever are the healthcare providers under the scheme, universal healthcare scheme, there has to be a reimbursement mode, that is the package rate. And the other one is we have to create a smooth interface between the healthcare technology startups and the hospitals, because we are talking about the innovative technologies to be implemented by the implementing body for the effective implementation of the scheme, universal health scheme, that is this one. So for that there has to be a smooth interface between the healthcare technology startups and the hospitals, and this smooth interface can make sure that whatever there is the kind of importance which is not given, or there is kind of hiccups between the both can be diffused and the solution will be taken care. So I think that there has been extensive in-depth analysis of all the topics which we have discussed today, and then you can use it for the prelims point of view, as I have discussed for prelims point what could be the important questions, and also for the mains point of view you can also start preparing a small answer type. And lastly, I would say that I hope this video, the in-depth analysis of the editorials and articles have helped you, and it was very informative. And then you make sure that you please like it, you subscribe it, and you can also hit the bell icon to subscribe for more notification or for the further videos. And you can also use my code, that is SBT Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10 for 10% discount for your subscription. Thank you and see you in the next video.